So right off the top, let's start with that breaking news out of North Carolina. A terror plot planned for New Year's Eve directly inspired to act by terror group ISIS. That plan thwarted by the men and women of the FBI. FBI Charlotte on X confirming this. They say law enforcement partners thwarted a potential terror attack on New Year's Eve in North Carolina. The subject was directly inspired to act by ISIS. Now, let's look at the suspect. According to the FBI, this is him, 18-year-old Christian Sturdivant. Authorities say he planned to attack people at a North Carolina fast food restaurant and then at a grocery store just outside of Charlotte. They say that he planned to use knives and hammers. Officers searched his home. They found details in a handwritten document titled New Year's Eve Attack. Authorities arrested Sturdivant on that night, New Year's Eve. Here's more.
So Mr. Sturdivant started on the internet. He started reading ISIS material, started going to ISIS websites, making TikTok videos, and eventually reached out to what he thought was a member of ISIS. In reality, was an undercover agent with NYPD in New York. He pledged his allegiance to ISIS with that undercover agent, and he disclosed his plans to, quote, do jihad soon. He then met a second undercover with the FBI, who he also thought was an ISIS participant, and he started to be very specific with his plans. He talked with that undercover agent, again, who he thought was ISIS. He talked about where he was planning to do this attack, which was at a grocery store and a fast food restaurant in Mint Hill, places that we go every day and don't think that we may be harmed. He talked about what means he would use to kill innocent people. He said he was going to wear a Kevlar vest and attack people with knives and hammers. And, of course, he talked about when he was going to carry out this attack, which was New Year's Eve.
So team coverage with CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane and CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. So let's begin with Scott. Scott, you're looking through these charging documents. What do they reveal?
A few things jump out at me in particular. First of all, let's just start with the age of this defendant. He just turned 18 a few weeks ago, and he first got on the radar of federal authorities when he was a 14-year-old based on some of his social media posts. He went quiet from social media after he was not charged as a 14-year-old. Then at some point in early December, a federal investigator or a local police investigator in New York spotted some TikTok messages attributed to Sturdivant, which caused alarm and seemed to declare some obedience to or loyalty to ISIS. What the feds are alleging here is that he was doing this in martyrdom for ISIS, making this a terrorism case or a material support of terrorism case in the U.S. District Court. Some of the allegations here are uniquely chilling. They just have a different way about them. They're alleging he was looking for a soft target. Grocery store, fast food place would be a uniquely soft target on New Year's Eve when a grocery store or fast food place would be particularly full. That he's seeking to use the types of weapons you don't need a background check for, but that can be deadly. Knives and hammers. This is just a page out of the ISIS playbook, the feds say. This is the directive they're trying to give to would-be supporters in the West.
And active online at that. Scott MacFarlane, thank you so much. Okay, so let's go live now to CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, authorities have been saying they've been tracking this suspect since 2022, saying that he was in contact with an ISIS member on social media, as Scott just mentioned. So at what point can somebody's social media be used against them and then impact the legal outcome?
So generally speaking, social media will help to initiate an investigation, but it alone will not be enough. And you'll see exactly what we see here, meaning not enough for an arrest. You'll see, as Scott reported, as you've been reporting, that there was more. You have the suspect talking to undercover agents. You have the suspect being very specific about, these are the weapons that I want to use, this is where I want to use them, and this is the time I want to use them. Generally speaking, we want to be protective of online speech, even when we hate that speech. You have to have specifically something more where you feel like you're crossing the line from advocacy to a true threat. And generally, that something more happens off of social media. Just read, as we saw in this case.
Right, and it's fascinating to me, Jessica. They've been tracking this guy, this kid really, since he was 14 years old. Authorities mentioned it's easier to bring charges now that he's 18. Explain that to our viewers.
So, in part because the juvenile system is more geared towards rehabilitation than punishment. I know it seems strange, like we always have to draw lines. If you're 17 and a half, is it that much different than 18 in a day? And the answer is we have to draw the line somewhere. So, what's different? You're in an adult court. There are federal charges that are available that generally we don't think are available to juveniles. There are terrorism charges that are available that we generally do not see apply to juveniles. So, there are a lot more charges that are available, and you don't have the same concerns about a long pretrial detention. You don't have the same concerns about, frankly, a longer sentencing. It's easier for prosecutors to put somebody in the adult system. There are just so many tools that are options for them in this case.
Young mind influenced and still out there somewhere in the world, these ISIS operatives who got in this kid's head. Jessica Levinson, thank you so much for that. Good to see you.